Morning all, how the devil? I thought I'd try out a new desk today with a bit more screen space. If you think it's absolutely gash, feel free to tell me in the comments and I'll go back to the old one. Right, today I'm covering, without any shadow of a doubt, the worst, most repellent, fucking disturbing race baiting I've ever seen by a mainstream, once respected organisation, worse than anything I've seen on the BBC, and that is a sewer, digital diarrhea spewing out onto the internet every day. Worse than anything on The Guardian. Like, seriously, worse than anything I've ever seen. It's this Twitter fucking CNN story. It says black newborn babies in the US are more likely to survive if they're cared for by black doctors, but 3 times more likely to die when looked after by white doctors, a study finds. Like, how bad is that? I don't know what else to say. How fucking bad is that? To their credit, the Twitterati are at least arguing about it. Doreen there says, the fact that there are more people upset at the study is telling of why racial biases have such stark disparities. No, people are upset at it because it's fucking repellent. Like, if you are seriously pushing stories like this, you really are just trying to make people murder each other, aren't you? Like, seriously, there's nothing more emotive than dead babies, is there? Like, nothing, right? Nothing. Anything emotive is something that is relevant to the human condition, i.e. something that all humans will probably experience or go through. And they have a visceral emotional response, something like child rape as well. That's why the grooming gags was such a big scandal, the cover-ups, because it appalls people. Like, everyone can empathise with a kid, because we were all kids once. And when we were kids, we used to enjoy our lives and go kicking footy about in the park, go and jump in the becks, and go and, well, as we got a bit older, drinking cider and generally acting like thuglets where I'm from. But the point is, we enjoyed our childhood, so we get annoyed when people pick on kids. And to put out a story like this, honestly, babies are 3 times more likely to die when looked after whitey, is literally like, they want the world to burn. They want the world to burn. If you're a reactionary person and you don't sit down calmly and study exactly what's being said, logically and coolly, as calm as you can, and really think about this data. I understand you flipping out. You know, the mob is fickle, folks. We know this. Terry Pratchett said in one of his books, Terry Pratchett, great quote, he said something like, sadly, an angry mob is only as clever as its most stupid member. That's why mobs tend to wreck things. And it's true. And honestly, if you're a normal person, you don't really sit, or if you're an emotional person, you know, I'm not an emotional person, other than rage, anger, spite. I suppose I'm half an emotional person. But joking aside, billions of people are very emotional. And when people are emotional, they do crazy things. That's why they always tell you, go to sleep before you start an argument with your missus. Sleep on it. Talk about it tomorrow. That's why it's hard to remain calm, and that's why there's so much shit goes on in the world, because so many people freak the fuck out as soon as they feel very, very strongly about something. They go mental, chimp out, and set things on fire and turn cars over and wreck shit. When George Floyd gets shot in the head 3,000 miles away, a load of fucking Norwegians go, let's go mental and burn the youth club down. People are fucking stupid. And when CNN do things like this, it is fucking despicable. Despicable and dangerous. There is nothing, they say everything's divisive now. Oh, Trump disagreed with me, divisive. Oh, Boris said he really agrees with Brexit, divisive. It's like, what's more divisive than dead fucking babies? Answer me that. Dead babies, you don't think that's going to wind people up? So CNN should be fucking ashamed of themselves. That is despicable. What a massive bunch of cunts there must be. Anyway, Michaela has it right. You're a moron if you think this is viable data. It is. You definitely are. And here's why I'm telling you this. I want anyone that's watching this video to any Democrat or lefty, tell me why they think it's acceptable that they post this shit. It's reactionary shit. And B, tell me, I sat down, because I'm really trying to think of these things coldly and logically. I sat down and thought to myself, there's only two options here. There's only two. I can only think of, well, possibly three if it's a stretch. Option one, white doctors really do not care about brown babies and just fucking play hacky sack with the little fuckers before they pass them off to the mothers, right? Which is what CNN want the general public to think. Or B, the data is wrong. They're the only two options, right? That's it. Either you think doctors do not give a single shit about a baby, a newborn baby, because they are hateful racists. That's the only two options. If you can think of a third one, tell me one. I can't think of anything. Like, I was really going through it on my mind thinking maybe it's due to the fact of poverty, like black women are more likely to be poor, so they have worse diets, so maybe the childbirth, infant mortality is higher, but it doesn't wash, does it? Because that wouldn't be affected by the race of the doctor. So that's out the window. The only other thing I could think of was they don't perhaps take as much interest in aftercare if the doctor isn't black. Maybe, like if they have a doctor who's the same race, maybe they'd be a bit more comfortable to take part in aftercare. But that's literally the only thing I can think of. Like, if you can think of a good reason why it's not option one, doctors are all racist murderers who are happy to butcher children, or B, the data's fucking wrong, or falsified, or cherry-picked, you tell me a good option three, because I cannot think of one, which is why it's so fucking disgraceful and despicable that these scumbags, because they lost their minds when Donald Trump won the election, print things like this and put it out in the public forum. I think it's absolutely fucking criminal. Criminal. Chaps, I think that is absolutely despicable, and I would love to hear any hypothesis other than the ones I have just put forward. Anything. Aftercare, if you trust your doctor more, if he's black. That was the only thing I could possibly think of. But I'm leaning towards the data is wrong, the data is falsified, it's cherry-picked, it's whatever we can come up with to get maximum race baiting and hatred from the general public. And I think it is criminal, criminally irresponsible, despicable. CNN, when I first moved over here, I liked Anderson Cooper. I thought he seemed like a reasonable fella. But shit like this has just filled me with rage. Like, they seriously should be fucking EMP'd into oblivion. Like, when we invaded Iraq, I remember Al Jazeera was one of the first fuckers to get wiped out, and they totally rubbed them out so they couldn't operate for a month. And I honestly think it's time the Trump administration, maybe we should give the Taliban a fucking week off and focus on fucking zapping CNN. Cut off their internet connections, feed all of their PCs and electronic devices into the wood chipper and just hamstring them. It's all well and good, and they've turned me into a fucking irrational conspiracy theorist at this point, because I've always been big. I'm an old school liberal, and I was always big behind freedom of the press. But if your press is going to print things like that, seriously, and say, Whitey murders your babies, I will regretfully embrace casting aside my liberal ideals for a moment for the good of the general public. And I think telling hundreds of millions of people that white doctors purposely kill their babies is up there with the worst shit I've ever read. Let me know if you've come up with anything reasonable and logical that would suggest that's a factual occurrence by supposedly educated and empathic doctors. Like, seriously, some fucking bird in the comments was talking about how, it's because white people think blacks feel less pain. And I was thinking, what, the most educated people in our entire society, like professional medical doctors, medical practitioners, also empathic people, because they've gone into medicine instead of law, right? If you're clever and you're going to go to Harvard and you want as much money as possible and you don't mind lying and being an horrible cunt, you'll be a lawyer, won't you, like most of our politicians are? If you actually care about people, a lot of those fuckers in that boat are going to go for medicine. So you're talking about the most well-educated and the most empathic people on earth, and they aren't aware that evolution is a fact. We all came from a very small number of breeding pairs that survived in Africa, and white people fucked off up to Northern Europe and very, very quickly became pale because there was no vitamin D, because there was less sunlight, and it happened very quickly. But we're all related and we're all the same. Like, if you think black people don't feel as much pain, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're a creationist. You don't believe in evolutionary biology. So I do not buy it. It is fucking nonsense in my view, but I want to know. If you've got a plausible hypothesis as to why this despicable race-baiting headline by an irresponsible, appalling organisation like CNN exists, please fucking enlighten me. I beg you. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think about the new channel art. And if you don't like it, I will fuck it off at the high port. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to share, because when I get up to 5,000 subs, I will be having another giveaway. You lucky bastards. See you soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.